Surah Tariq. Central theme and relationship with the preceding surah. This surah is the counterpart of the previous surah, Surah Buruj. Both have the same central theme. The only difference between the two is the style of the discourse and the arguments presented. If one views them with regard to their introduction and ending also, one finds amazing similarity between the two. In the light shed by the signs of the world around man and the one within him, as well as the attributes of the creator of this universe, the adversaries are informed that they should not regard the day of reward and punishment, of which the Qur'an has threatened them, to be a matter of jest. It is certain to come. The delay in its advent should not mislead them to deny it. The Almighty is in fact giving them respite so that they are left with no excuse to deny the truth, and their end is drawing near. Compelling is the scheme of God. Thus he does not show haste in seizing the arrogant, but when he does, no one is able to free himself from his clasp. Analysis of the discourse. Section 1, verses 1 to 4. Heavens and earth are called to witness on the fact that nothing is beyond the eyes of God. He has deputed guardians on every soul. Both men and jinn are under surveillance. He can seize anyone at any time he wants to and punish him. No one is beyond his control. Section 2, verses 5 to 8. The rejectors of the Day of Judgment are urged to reflect on the fact that the substance from which man has been created is not rare so as to be beyond God's excess. On the contrary, he is made from a drop of fluid which emanates from his own body. When the Almighty has the power to fashion a drop of his fluid into a living being, how can he be powerless to recreate him? Section 3, verses 9 to 10. A mention of the fact that the Almighty is fully aware of all words and deeds and even secrets of the hearts and all hidden details. One day, all these secrets shall be examined and assessed. On that day, no person will have any of his own support and backing which can be of any help to him, nor will any intercession be of any benefit to him. Section 4, verses 11 to 14. A general physical phenomenon is presented to argue that the Day of Judgment with which the Qur'an is threatening its adversaries is no matter of jest. It is in fact a certain reality which is bound to waylay them one day. People should try to prepare themselves for this day instead of making fun of it. Section 5, verses 15 to 17. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is assured that the schemes devised by his enemies in order to reject him should not lead him to despair. He should give them some respite. The bait thrown to them by his Lord in seizing them after they gradually entangle themselves in deeper sin is bearing results. Soon they will be facing their fate. Text of the surah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق من ماء دافق يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب إنه على رجعه لقادر يوم تبلى السرائر فما له من قوة ولا ناصر والسماء ذات الرجع والأرض ذات الصدع إنه لقول فصل وما هو بالهزل إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا.
In the name of God, the most gracious, the ever merciful. The sky and those which appear in the night bear witness. And what have you understood what those which appear in the night are? Glittering stars. That there is not a soul which does not have a guardian over it. Let man reflect on what he has been created from. He has been created from a trivial squirting fluid that comes out from between the spine and the ribs. Indeed, he is fully capable of creating him again. On that day, all secrets will be scrutinized. Then, at that time, neither will he have any power nor any helper. The sky, when rain bursts forth from it, and the earth which splits asunder, bear witness that this is a decisive word, and it is no jest. They are conniving a plot, and I am also devising a plan. So give respite to these disbelievers, leave them a while. Explanation of the Surah. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الطَّارِقِ النَّجْمُ الثَّاقِبِ. The sky and those which appear in the night bear witness. And what have you understood what those which appear in the night are? Glittering stars. Just as in the previous surah, the sky consisting of fortresses is sworn by, here in this surah, the sky and its glittering stars are sworn by. This oath, as has been explained, is meant to testify to a premise which is stated ahead. The literal meaning of the word Tariq is the one who comes in the night. Here it refers to the stars which appear in the night. The Qur'an itself has explained this word by the expression An-Najmu Thaqib, or glittering stars. The question posed by the words Wama Adraka, or what have you understood, is to direct attention to the magnificence and importance of this testimony. The implication is that no one should regard this testimony to be an ordinary one. It is indeed a potent testimony if the serious minds are able to deliberate on it and don't make fun of it. The expression An-Najmu Thaqib, or glittering stars, does not refer to some specific star. It only refers to the genre of stars, which is very similar to its usage in the following verse. وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ, or and through the stars are they guided, Surah number 16, verse 16. In some other verses also, it is used thus to connote the genre the way it is here. However, the adjective athaqib, or glittering, signifies that only those stars are referred to here whose light reaches us of its own accord and for whose observation advanced telescopes are not required. Every person can observe them through the naked eye and learn from them the lesson which the Qur'an intends to teach here. It must be kept in mind that the number of stars cannot be gauged by merely counting what one can see. This is just a small part of the great treasure trove. Who else than the Almighty can know the number of worlds and the number of stars? In kullu nafsin lamma alayha hafiz, that there is not a soul which does not have a guardian over it. This is the premise which is meant to be substantiated from the oath sworn earlier. The use of the word lamma is rather unique. For this very reason, grammarians have differed in its interpretation. I have already alluded to my research in this regard while explaining verse 111 of Surah Hud and verse 35 of Surah Zukhruf. One of the aspects of the premise to which stars bear witness, that is, the Almighty has appointed a guardian over every soul, is that man should reflect on these divinely appointed innumerable eyes which remain awake all night and stare relentlessly at the inhabitants of the earth. No one can dare escape their gaze. The greatest of telescopes invented by science do not have the power of the most ordinary star of the firmament. The light from these stars pierces various layers of atmosphere and reaches the earth. Only a very naive person can think that there can be things which are beyond the notice of God, the God who is displaying such majesty of his power every night as depicted in this verse. The second aspect is the same as referred to in the previous surah and as mentioned at other places in the Qur'an. The Almighty has built forts and observation posts in these stars from which devils who dare to enter the prohibited territory are pelted with shooting stars. This system set up by God bears testimony to the fact that this world is not an unminded lot. At every nook and corner of this universe, He has deputed sentinels who guard everything day and night. Hence, it is obvious that a day of accountability is bound to come, and no one would be able to escape this accountability. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ خُلِقَ مِنْ مَاءٍ دَافِقٍ يَخْرُجُ مِنْ بَيْنِ الصُّلْبِ وَالتَّرَائِبِ إِنَّهُ عَلَى رَجْعِهِ لَقَادِرٌ. Let man reflect on what he has been created from. He has been created from a trivial squirting fluid that comes out from between the spine and the ribs. Indeed, he is fully capable of creating him again. In these verses, attention is focused on the sense of responsibility which should arise in a person who has grasped the reality that this world is not unattended. Its creator is watching over each and everything. When he is doing so, then it is essential that he bring about a day when virtuous deeds and the consequences which correspond to them are brought before the virtuous, and evil deeds and the consequences which correspond to them are brought before the evil. In the words, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانِ, man's attention is directed at his own being. If he merely reflects on it, he will find such majestic manifestations of God's power, wisdom, and creativity that he will cry out that the Almighty, who can create him with such great abilities from such an insignificant drop of fluid, is fully capable of creating him again after death. The greatest doubt raised by the rejectors of the Day of Judgment was that they regarded being recreated after death to be an impossibility. In order to dispel this doubt, the Qur'an has asked them at various places to just reflect on their existence. In Surah Abbas, such people are chided in the following words: قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا أَكْفَرَهُ مِنْ أَيِّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقَهُ مِنْ نُطْفَةٍ خَلَقَهُ فَقَدَّرَهُ ثُمَّ السَّبِيلَ يَسَّرَهُ ثُمَّ أَمَاتَهُ فَأَقْبَرَهُ ثُمَّ إِذَا شَاءَ أَنْشَرَهُ. Woe to man, how ungrateful he is! From what has his Lord created him? From a drop of fluid? He made him and proportioned him, then smoothed out the path for him. He then gave him death and had him placed in a grave. Then he will raise him again whenever he desires. Surah number 80, verses 17 to 22. Consider next the verses, خُلِقَ مِن مَّاءٍ دَافِقٍ يَخْرُجُ مِن بَيْنِ الصُّلْبِ وَالتَّرَائِبِ. He has been created from a trivial squirting fluid that comes out from between the spine and the ribs. In these verses, the nature of this fluid, its way of exit, and the place of its origin are pointed out. This is done so that man comes to know that this fluid is not a rarity, nor does it originate from a place which is beyond the jurisdiction of God. It bursts forth from between the spine and the chest, and later Providence fashions it into whatever form and structure it wants to, and then brings it from the womb of the mother. The implication is that how is it not possible for the Almighty, whose great power and wisdom a person is able to witness in his own self, to bring him back to life? Surah Infitar discusses this very aspect in the following words: Ya ayyuhal insan, ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem, allazi khalaqaka fasawwaka fa'adalak, fi ayyi suratin ma sha'a rakkabak, kalla bal tukadhibuna bid-din. O man, what is it that has lured you away from your beneficent Lord, who made your sketch, then fashioned you, and then gave you due proportion, and he put you together in whatever shape he pleased? There is no doubt about the power of this God. In fact, you want to deny reward and punishment. For this reason, you are putting forth such doubts. Surah number 82, verses 6 to 9. The verse, إِنَّهُ عَلَىٰ رَجْعِهِ لَقَادِرٌ, refers to the fact that the Almighty, who has displayed such majestic power and wisdom in creating man, is certainly able to create him once he dies. The antecedent of the pronoun in رَجْعِهِ is the man who is asked in the verse, فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ مِمَّا خُلِقَ, to reflect on his creation. It should be kept in mind that though the words used are general, the real address is directed at the Quraysh. It was the Quraysh who wanted to render ineffective the Quranic inzar by creating such senseless doubts.